rules and procedure. If someone requests an item under regular business, we take that before the others. And so we had E8 requested by Donald Shank, retired Brigadier General Shank, who has asked to have this item brought forward. So, Don, nice to see you.
You caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it quite that soon. But Mayor Schilling, members of City Council, I just want to step up today and ask that you accept Mr. Nelson's resignation with regret. I came to the city of Troy in 1994 circuitously, as some of you know, but I originated in the state of Maryland. Lived in rural Maryland when Columbia came up out of the farmland of Howard County. I know where Ellicott City is, and I know where Baltimore is. I was born and raised in Baltimore. I'm very, very familiar with the concepts of management by objectives, the concept of budgeting for outcomes, and the very, very positive things that can accrue to large organizations by following some of these sound precepts. I congratulate Mr. Nelson for bringing those ideas to this city. He has had a very, very tough job as our Chief Operating Officer for the last year plus. I know I'm going to miss his steady hand at the tiller if you decide to accept his resignation. I also know that our great loss will be the Free State's great gain. Phil, good luck to you in whatever you decide to do. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a resolution before us.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Curran.
Resolved that Troy City Council hereby accepts the resignation of City Manager Philip L. Nelson with regret, effective March 31st, 2009.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Kerwin, seconded by Councilwoman Beltramini, that the Troy City Council accepts the resignation of City Manager Philip L. Nelson with regret, effective March 31st, 2009. Discussion?
Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard.
I just want to personally thank Phil Nelson for your service to the city and also for your willingness to stay an extra month to assist us with the transition. Thank you.
Anyone else? I have appreciated the time that Phil Nelson has been with us here and the qualities that he brought to the position. I know when we searched for someone to come here, we had high standards of for the citizens, the community, and for the city manager and all the staff. And we do wish Phil well in Maryland, and I appreciated Don coming this evening to speak, and also for his kind things that he said about Mr. Nelson, and also about the kind things he said about Maryland. And is there anyone else that wishes to make a comment at this time?
Madam Mayor.
Councilman Kerwin?
I too appreciate it. I've learned so much from Manager Nelson's white papers, particularly about sustainability. He is known nationally. It would be no surprise that he would be actively recruited by other communities, knowing his full training, and it will be difficult to replace him.
Mrs. Bartholomew, could we have the vote then on the item?
Councilmember Beltramini?
Yes.
Grimfield?
Yes.
Eisenhower?
Yes.
Lemon?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kerwin?
Yes.
Mayor Schilling?
Yes. Motion passes. Then we'll return back to the beginning of the E item, and under appointments, the first one is a mayoral appointment, and this one we're going to vote tonight, and then he'll get right to work tomorrow, because tomorrow the Board of Review starts meeting, and that is to bring to appoint Boris Petapenko to the Board of Review for the term expiring January 31st, 2012.
Support.
Moved by the chair, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Howard, that we make that appointment. Discussion? The vote, Mrs. Bartholomew?
Councilmember Broomfield,
Yes.
Eisenbacher,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
Councilmember Dean,
Yes.
Motion passes. And city council appointments?
Mayor?
Mayor Pro Tem Howard.
Thank you. I'll move forward the resolutions as printed, and that would be David Eisenbacher as the City Council Representative to the Employees Retirement System Board of Trustees and the Retiree Health Care Benefits Plan and Trust, as well as Andrew Keltsunis to the Liquor Advisory Committee.
Support.
Separate? I tend to vote for both of them, but I'd like
Yes.
to speak on one. May I move to separate?
Do we have do we need a second on the separation? Yes. Moved by Councilwoman Kerwin, seconded by Councilwoman Beltramini that we separate on this item for the city council appointments. Mrs. Beck, any comments? Mrs. Bartholomew, the vote?
Councilmember Eisenbacher,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
Councilmember Dean,
Yes.
Broomfield,
Yes.
Motion passes. And the second one?
On the employee retirement system, I would gladly support David's position on here. I see that it's an unexpired term. I know that at the previous meeting, or 2 meetings ago, Mayor Pro Tem Eisenbacher placed David's name in a nomination, and I do support it. I do see that the unexpired term finishes in April 15th, and I ask my colleagues' consideration to perhaps let me fill the rest of that when April comes around and give you some time to think. If you'll recall, in 2007, when we had the organizational meeting, everyone was appointed to a committee or perhaps a board except for one. And it's been over a year now, so perhaps when April rolls around, it would be nice to be considered for this one. I have time during the day.
Okay, thank you. Do we need another vote, Mrs. Bartholomew, correct?
Actually, there'll be 2 more, one on the employee
Yes.
retirement and then one on the
Correct.
Ready?
The vote, yes.
Councilmember Fleming,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
Councilmember Dean,
Yes.
Broomfield,
Yes.
Eisenbacher,
Yes.
Motion passes. And Mrs. Bartholomew, one more?
Councilmember Howard,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
Councilmember Dean,
Yes.
Broomfield,
Yes.
Eisenbacher,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Motion passes. And under city council nominations, we have the Historic District Study Committee. Mayor Pro Tem Howard, were you able to find somebody for that, or should that be on the next?
Mayor, I'm not even sure that needs to be on the agenda, as it is an ad hoc committee. But, so naturally, I wouldn't have an appointment for an ad hoc committee.
They haven't.
Do we need to keep
Did
having
they
that on
forward
there?
a name? Mrs. Bloom, would you like to speak to that?
Mayor, I do have, actually, I know that there are still some responsibilities that this committee has. So, so even though it is an ad hoc committee, I know that they're currently meeting. In fact, I'm going to be meeting with them tomorrow night.
So do they usually forward a name? Because they're,
Mayor, I believe in talking with Lorraine that they are looking for persons who are willing to volunteer.
okay, thank you. Councilman Beltramini, is that what you were
That
going to
was
ask
my
about?
question.
Okay, thank you.
If they had ongoing business.
So, being there's no name to bring forward, we can dispense with that one. And the next one is E3, that is the authorization to negotiate the contract for emergency medical services.
Madam Mayor,
Councilman Beltramini?
I will move the resolution. Whereas the police and fire department have always maintained a contract for emergency medical responder and ambulance service as one of the critical services to the community. Whereas since 2003, Alliance Mobile Health, our current contractor, is the only provider in the Detroit area that meets the professional service standards of the Commission on Accreditation of Ambulance Services. And whereas the City of Troy and Alliance Mobile Health have vested interest in continuing a mutually beneficial relationship and request to negotiate new contract pricing terms and conditions. Therefore, be it resolved that the Troy City Council hereby waives formal bidding procedures and hereby authorizes the City of Troy to negotiate new contract pricing terms and conditions with Alliance Mobile Health of Troy, Michigan, to extend the existing medical first responder program, and the final contract will be submitted to the Troy City Council for final review and approval.
Support.
Moved by Councilwoman Beltramini, seconded by Councilwoman Kerwin, that we approve the resolution as printed and read. Discussion?
Mayor,
Councilman Eisenbacher?
as Councilwoman Beltramini read this, it actually reminded me of one of the points she's brought up in the past, and that's if we're making a resolution stating that we're going to approve something in the future, it's going to, it's setting our future actions. I believe it should say for final review, period.
I would accept that amendment and second it. I understand David's point, yeah. Maybe, excuse me,
Oh,
Councilwoman Beltramini?
maybe for final determination or some such word that does in fact signify some action.
And determination? You're amending, Councilman Eisbacher?
yes,
Instead of saying and approval, you want and determination?
yes.
Okay. Moved by Councilman Eisenbacher, seconded by Councilwoman Beltramini, that we amend the resolution by changing the last two words in the resolution to say and determination. Discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Fleming?
I just have to say, well, I fully support Alliance Mobile Health. I know they do a great job for us. I've had first-hand experience with them. Because I'm associated with a company, an officer in a company that does business with them, I'll have to excuse myself from voting.
Okay. Yes, anyone else want to make a comment? Yes, Councilwoman Broomfield?
I support them as well, very much so, since they employ my son-in-law and the father of 3 of my grandchildren. So I would ask council to consider excusing me, and it doesn't affect me personally, but I'm not sure how. I would ask our city attorney.
Mrs. Bloom, when it involves a family member that doesn't live at their house, what does that do?
It's council's call on that, whether or not there is an interest. I know that in other circumstances, members of the family and or their spouses are considered when determining whether or not there's a conflict, but it's really council's call as to whether or not they wish to excuse Councilwoman Broomfield for having a personal financial interest.
Mayor?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Howard.
I think I'll join in here. There's no compensation provided, but as you folks know, I'm a member of the board of Troy People Concerned, and Alliance has been kind enough to provide us with space. There's obviously no financial benefit, but it's just, I just wanted to disclose that, and clearly Alliance is very involved in the community, and one of the things I think that they've done for us as a city, and it's very notable, is when you drive around, you see all of the Alliance vehicles. And as a matter of fact, I think one of the benefits is it has a tendency to make people go the speed limit, because a lot of people who don't live in the city think those are police cars.
I like the way they're scattered, ready to serve certain sections of the city, too. I think that's been of benefit.
Point of order.
Pardon? Yes.
If we are going to
Councilman
recuse,
Fleming.
it should be during this discussion period as well. So if there is a financial interest with Mr. Fleming and that, then at this point, or for Councilmember Broomfield, it would be time to leave.
I would
First we
move
should
that
excuse.
we excuse Councilman Fleming. I think that the others do not need to be excused. That's my opinion. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Excuse Councilman Fleming.
Yes.
Moved by the chair, seconded by Councilwoman Beltramini, that we excuse Councilman Fleming from the discussion of the vote on the item. The vote, Mrs. Bartholomew, on excusing?
Councilmember Kerwin?
Yes.
Mayor Schilling?
Yes.
Councilmember Beltramini?
Yes.
Renfield?
Yes.
Eisenbarger?
Yes.
Fleming?
No, he's excused.
He can
Oh,
vote. No, he has
excuse
to
me.
vote.
You had to vote on yourself.
Yes.
He's excused.
Howard?
Yes.
Motion passes. Excused. All right, further discussion of the motion? Yes, the amendment and then the motion. Okay, Mrs. Bartholomew?
Mayor Schilling?
Yes?
Councilmember Beltramini?
Yes.
Renfield?
Yes.
Eisenbarger?
Yes.
Fleming? Howard?
Yes.
Kerwin?
Yes.
Motion passes, I mean the amendment. Now the main motion?
Councilmember Beltramini?
Yes.
Renfield?
Yes.
Eisenbarger?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kerwin?
Yes.
Mayor Schilling?
Yes? Motion passes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Kerwin?
may I make a comment? I know that we voted on this, but may I make a
You-
comment regarding?
Well, actually, you're supposed to make a comment before the vote, but go ahead. You make your comment, I'll go let
Okay.
Councilman Fleming answer.
And I know that Mayor Pro Tem Howrleck pointed out that Troy People Concerned is housed in Alliance Mobile. I'd also like to point out that they're involved in so many other community activities, especially for Lori Thiel, who's with us tonight and doesn't even live in Troy, but is involved in Kiwanis Club and in so many ways gives back to the community. Their presence in this community is felt very well. However, we voted because the services that are provided, not
Right.
just by the people, but by Alliance Mobile Health, are extraordinary. So thank you.
E4 is the pig channel protection in response to the FCC public notice DA 9-203. Do we have a resolution?
Madam Mayor,
Councilman Beltramini.
I was very happy to see the detailed letter, and therefore be it resolved that the Troy City Council hereby authorizes the city clerk to distribute copies of this letter in support of preserving the quality and financial viability of public education and government PEG channels to our elected representatives in Washington and Lansing, and hereby authorizes the city attorney to file this letter on our behalf in accordance with the requirements set forth by the FCC Public Notice DA 09-203.
Support.
Moved by Councilwoman Beltramini, seconded by Councilwoman Kerwin, that we approve the resolution as printed in red. Discussion? I think this is a step in the right direction, and hopefully it'll get some response favorable to the communities. Mrs. Bartholomew, the vote?
Councilmember Renfield?
Yes.
Eisenbarger?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kerwin?
Yes.
Mayor Schilling?
Yes.
Councilmember Beltramini?
Yes.
Motion passes. E5 is the possible tree ordinance revisions. Councilwoman Kerwin?
Resolved that Troy City Council hereby directs staff to draft revisions to Chapter 28 tree ordinance. I don't have any recommendations.
Are you going to read the second part in case anyone has any recommendations?
If anyone does, and be it further resolved that Troy City Council hereby recommends the following revisions.
Moved by Councilwoman Kerwin. Do we have a second? And then do we need the revisions in there and then the second? I'm confused on
We need the revision.
if there are any. I don't know if people are going to suggest things this evening or wait, let it come back to us through the regular channels.
Madam Mayor?
Councilwoman Beltramini?
It seems to me that staff gave us their best guess on what appropriate changes would be 2 years ago, and we rejected that pretty much out of hand. So my interpretation of this is if we want some kind of changes, be they what kind of trees, what kind of enforcement, what kind of permit, we need to articulate at least some of those so that they know what direction to pursue.
Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman Kerwin?
I don't have a copy of what was rejected 2 years ago. I have a copy of what's included in here.
That's the current tree ordinance, so that's the one that has to be worked on.
That wasn't the one that was offered before us, though, before this council, the revisions. That's what I don't have privy to. So I understand that some time ago, that was directed out of hand. However, time has passed, and I'm not aware, I've never seen a copy of that.
Perhaps
A suggestion would be to find out what best practices are, and I haven't seen them, what best practices are in surrounding communities, and bring back a sample ordinance to reflect, so something to look at. But I don't even have the one from 2 years ago, or longer.
Could I suggest then that this item come back to us when we have that information with us, so that we could make some possible suggestions? I know that without delineating all of the items that were there were some items that were included in the suggestion that council felt went a little bit farther than they wanted to go with the tree ordinance, but I think everyone was pretty much in agreement that we need to do some protection of areas and that we do need a tree ordinance, but it just seemed that that wasn't there. So instead of having this on the table tonight, if we could have that when we have some more information to go with it, would be more appropriate. What do you think, the rest of you? Councilman Eisenbacher?
I did go back and find a copy of the, I think it was June 2006 agenda, and get the revisions. And when I was reading through them, the thing that struck me is in terms of the reach of the proposed regulations, is that it assumed a lot of city control of private property. And the one thing that I would like to see in any proposal we discuss as a council is acknowledgement that trees are a renewable resource and that they are the property of the person who owns the property. In a lot of places in here, it talks about public, let me get to the section.
10.
In public spaces, and public spaces not just being public property. Public spaces are areas that are accessible by the public. So the city would take control of a lot of the private property within the city that is deemed a public space. And I know that a lot of homeowners associations don't want to have to apply to be able to prune their trees or maintain their trees within the city. And I think we need to have, it's great if we revise it to include the ordinances and the updates relative to the public property. I believe we overstepped in the language relative to public property, private property, which happens to be a public space.
Okay, well, instead of delineating all of those tonight, if we could do what Councilwoman Kerwin is suggesting, that we have that, so that we all have that data in front of us, and then we can all go through, make suggestions, get those back to staff, so that then when something comes forward to the table for a vote, we've already incorporated some of the comments perhaps that council members have. So there's been a resolution moved, but no one seconded. So if, with those comments, if we just not have a motion on the table this evening for this. Okay. The E6 is the